Welcome back to Total Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Paul. Our sponsor of the week is Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you need photos or video, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions is the team to get the job done. No matter if you need pageant headshots, professional headshots, lifestyle, family photos, they are the team to get the photos jobs done. And no matter if you need a wedding videography, a wedding commercial, any type of video project, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions is the company to reach out to get your video projects done with. So no matter if you're thinking about photos or videos, make sure you reach out to Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions for your next photo or video project. Our special guest this week is Keely Sanders. She is a former Teen USA 1995. I am so excited for you guys to have this interview to listen to. She's such an incredible inspiration. She's a perfect example of someone who's won a national title and taken all of the opportunities given to her and cashed them in 100%. I hope you're inspired and motivated by this interview, and I hope my listeners out there win their national title too. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, it's always exciting to have a past teen title holder for USA on the show. So thank you for gracing the Total Focus listening audience, and it's only been like I've only had the chance of interviewing a couple of your past alumni, so it's always an absolute honor to interview someone who's, in my opinion, won one of the elite titles in pageantry. So it's always phenomenal to get an insight of someone who won such an incredible title, such early into their life, and how that's really made you jump off into the stratosphere. So,
oh, thank you. Well, it's always fun to, even though I'm a former from many, many years ago, it's always nice to still be able to talk about it and find people who are interested, I guess.
So when I was doing research the last couple of days, I stumbled upon your YouTube channel that you had a couple of videos, and I remember watching a video that you credited your mom as a really big influence on your style, and that's one of the reasons why you got into doing styling. Is that another reason why you got into pageantry? Was she also really into pageantry too?
No, she was not in pageantry at all. My mother's very beautiful and she has a lot of style and things, but she was not into pageantry, and she kind of thought I was crazy when I got into it. When I told her I was going to do it. So, she in the beginning thought it was a little nuts, but she became one of my biggest supporters and definitely my rock as far as, going to appearances and making sure I had all the right clothes and the right makeup and doing everything I needed to do, and really pushing me and, telling me to go for it when we decided to do it. And especially when you're a teen, it is a family affair. So, that's the big part.
Well, yeah, because, you can't just get up and be like, okay, I'm not going to try and find a sponsor, or, I assume you're not working, so you don't have like disposable income that you can just pull from your own wallet. So you definitely have to ask permission for everything.
And at that point, she drove me to appearances, and she, it was not only the financial support, which I was very fortunate to have, but just the emotional and the day-to-day of really helping me navigate that world was a huge part of it. And my whole family was a huge part of it, but especially my mother.
So if your mom is not the original the start of this, where does that start? Were you doing other activities? Were you were you in sports? Were you playing an instrument? Like, where did this passion for to be on stage
I
and compete?
So I was always been kind of an extrovert, and I grew up in outside of Kansas City, and I decided I wanted to go to modeling school, and so I actually at the very young age of like 15 or 14 enrolled myself into modeling school, but my mom obviously had to drive me. So I met someone there by the name of Robert McCain, and he was a coach, and he helped us with our runway walks and learning to present ourselves. And it was Kansas City, so it's a very small market, especially 20 years ago, or 25 years ago at this point. And so he was integral in it, and he and I became fast friends. He was also a hairdresser, and so he became my hairdresser. Well, he decided he was going to hold the Miss Lawrence, Kansas pageant. And at that time, you had to have 4 contestants in the teen division, and then at least 4 in the teen and miss division each in order to hold the pageant. And he only had 3 in the teen division. So he asked me if I would want to do it. And I was like, you're crazy. There's no way. Like, I'm not a pageant girl.
But at this point, you're like modeling like for a
I was
year,
modeling in Kansas City.
for like a
Yeah.
couple years, like.
Probably 2 years.
Okay, so you had really good experience being in front of the camera and being confident and knowing what makes you look beautiful then.
Yes. I mean, I do think yes, I had that experience. I had that confidence. I had that training.
Okay.
But yeah, and so he encouraged me to do it, and I went, and I told my mom like 2 days before that I was doing it, and she, again, like I told you, thought I was a little crazy. And then when I went, I always tell this story. I did everything wrong. I had the wrong type of dress for a teen. I had a tight black evening gown that I wore that had been a prom dress. I didn't know that you were supposed to have shoes that nude colored shoes, or shoes that matched your swimsuit or shoes that matched your skin. I didn't know that. I had black heels. I didn't know that you were supposed to. There was all these things I didn't know, and so I just kind of winged it, and I won based on my interview. And after I won, I kind of said, "Oh, okay, great, that was fun." And he said, "Oh, no, you have to go to state. Like, now you're Miss Lawrence teen. You have to go to state." And I'm like, "What? You're crazy." And again, he convinced me. And so then that's when my mom kind of said, "Okay, if you're going to do this, then let's figure it out." And so I found a coach. I found a dress shop that was very helpful, and I kind of started figuring my way out and how it was going to work. And so that was the year I competed as Miss Kansas Teen, and I won. And then I went on to win Miss Teen USA that year.
Okay, so can you, like, even today, can you comprehend that? Because you never did a pageant before, right? Am I just to make sure I'm not missing?
No, I can't comprehend it. But I always tell girls, it's not about what the judges want you to be. It's about who you are. So a lot of girls think if I didn't grow up in pageants, I can't compete, I won't do well, or, I hadn't either. And my Miss Teen USA was my 3rd pageant, and I won. So this doesn't have to be something you've spent your life for. Now, preparing is a different story. I prepared and prepared and prepared, but it's also one of those things where you don't, they're picking you because of who you are as a person. And that's not something you have to, you have to rehearse, basically.
Do you think it's easier for the teen to come out of nowhere and to be that shocker, or is it plausible for the Ms. category to be that way too?
I think it's possible for both. I think it's easier for teens because teens have less. I think as we grow older, we get more preconceived notions of what we think people want from us or people expect of us. And I think teens are more likely to just be who they are. So I think it happens more in the teen division than it does in the older categories in the Miss division.
So you had mentioned that the interview is what, like, put you above everyone else. Is that something that
Hmm.
was told to you directly, or is that your perception?
I know based on scoring that was I
Okay.
scored very high in interview, and I did in all of my pageants. I am what some people would call honest to a fault. So I am very forward. I'm very good with communication. I had taken debate all through high school. I was, I had taken speech classes and all this stuff. It was something that was just important to me that I enjoyed. I liked speaking in front of people. So when I was asked those questions, and to be honest, I don't remember what they were at the lower levels. When I was asked the questions, though, it's very easy for me to speak my mind and to speak off the cuff, and so I think that was a huge advantage for me. I don't get nervous in front of crowds, and it makes that whole process a lot easier.
I guess that's what really translates when you're doing television interviews or doing on set um, pieces. So I guess that's what makes you really excel there. Do you feel like you excel in that in those spaces because you feel so comfortable?
Yes, yes, and I think some of that is inherent. I think it 100% can be learned, but I do think what is it? Speaking in front of people, public speaking is one of the like top three fears people have. I'm very fortunate in the fact that I don't have that fear.
If the young lady or guy, whatever like competition, um, do you think debate is what really honed it in, or would you recommend them trying something like Toastmasters? I know that's more of an adult product, but it's that's what it's focused on.
I think taking debate class as a young person in high school is a gives you a huge advantage, not just in pageantry but in life. You learn to think about things differently. You learn to look at all sides. You learn to have a um, conversation with somebody that is rational and intelligent. I think it gives you a huge advantage in life.
So, I guess to break it down, what if modeling is what really is the catalyst to starting this whole thing? Where did the love for that come from? Were you are you one of are you one of the young ladies that just died to be in a magazine, or saw really cool runway shows and you wanted to be there?
I think it was just um, people would ask me if I modeled, and I think it was the curiosity of like, no, I don't, but kind of being told that it's something you could do. It was something independent. It was something outside my school activities, and I think that made it fun for me. And so I wasn't into sports. I mean, I was a cheerleader, but I wasn't into sports. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it, and I thought it was kind of my extracurricular activities growing up.
Okay, so you were also in cheerleading. So that I guess that's your also a good way of being able to build that team coefficient, and also learning how to speak to women without like considering them at like a like they're against me. You can talk to uh, another female of your age and not think they're always competing against you. Was that a good
Correct.
form? Was that a good forum for that? And would you recommend girls of a young age to be in that group and have a group of girlfriends, or being on a team where you have girls where you have to be friends because otherwise you're not going to win or not work well?
Well, I think being maybe cheerleading isn't their thing, but for me, I'm not super coordinated. So athletes were not athletics like basketball, volleyball. Those weren't really an option for me. I was horrible at them. But I think doing anything in a team as a young person gives you a huge advantage because you learn how to work as a team. You learn how to settle disputes. You learn how to um, communicate. You learn how to put yourself out there. So I think being in some sort of a team activity growing up is a huge importance. Whether it's a band or it's a sport or it's cheerleading or it's chess club, something where you are in with other people your age, I think is a big advantage.
Because you literally did 3 pageants and then you won your national title in your category. And you said even today it's hard for you to coincide that. Are you at least like, are you like aware of how significant that organization is, or is that still like, you know, because it wasn't something you were specifically shooting for and you won it and you're happy about it? I don't like, how do you like, I don't know. I don't mean to sum it up for you, but
No, I think it's definitely. I think you're right. I mean, I think it's. I won. It was as you know. I don't want to sound cheesy, but it was life changing, and I think it was just part of my journey. I think it was something that um, has made me think about a lot of things differently throughout my life, and I feel that there's a lot of ways to get there. You don't have to be a cheerleader to be a pageant queen. You don't have to be a model to win a pageant. You don't have to do those things. I think there's just similarities between them that kind of lend themselves to those activities. But there's girls of all walks of life that end up doing pageantry and doing very well in it. I think it's things, being a beautiful person inside and out. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it is a beauty pageant. Most of them are. But I think, being a beautiful person on the inside and having a love of people and wanting to go out and talk to people and work for different causes, all of that is the really important part about it.
do you believe that you'd be in the same situation if you have not won that title? Like, do
Oh
you have the
gosh,
same
that's
kind of industry? Do you meet the same husband? You know, et cetera,
oh
et
god.
cetera.
Well, I would hope I would meet my husband.
Well, I
I
don't know.
think
I haven't we haven't gone that far, but how? I mean,
right.
right? I didn't know if you met him in the course of like running your business, or in in the course of just like being in the right area, because you're in LA now, right? Or you were in LA, or your business is in LA,
I
and now you're
was
in
in LA.
right,
I'm in Arizona now.
right.
I live in Scottsdale with my husband and my daughter. But I do feel like I would have still gone into fashion. That's what I went into. And I was majoring in, I majored in fashion. I always had a love of fashion. And so I think, yes, I would have gone into fashion regardless. Would I have had the opportunity to design with the legendary Stephen Urich, who is a designer that I admired for years, that I ended up working with, who I met while I was Miss Teen USA? No, I don't think that would have happened. Do I think that I would have been able to then go on and design gowns for girls to wear on a national level, on a national stage? Probably not. I think it definitely opened doors for me. Um, I was always pretty clear that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and work in the fashion and style industry. So I think, yes, those things would have happened. I just think they may have happened differently.
And you had that dream even that young, that you wanted to be in the industry, or is that something that grew out of modeling?
Yeah, I was always pretty sure I wanted to be in the pageant or in the fashion industry, 100%.
Okay. And that goes back to your comments on your YouTube channel where your mom is your influence and she built that style
Yeah,
of style for you, correct?
yeah.
Okay. So is your mom your style icon then for your entire life? Like, do you base.
Oh, I think I have many. I think it depends on my style is always changing depending on my mood. And I mean, I think everybody, I love old movies and older style. I loved Liz Taylor's style and Bridget Bardot's style from the 60s. I love Jackie Onassis's style, and then there's days that I am admiring Kate Moss's style. I mean, I'm kind of, to be honest, all over the board, and my closet is hugely varied in the styles that it contains. My own personal style is very eclectic and based on my mood and what I'm doing.
Do you think that's just good for like mental breakout, that you maybe if you're having like a moody day, you have like a kind of a moody outfit, and then if you're having like a fabulous day, you have.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just days I feel like, oh, I want to dress up today, and my husband and I have our own office, and I do see clients, but not every single day. And I still may be in a full dress and heels, and it's just me in my office all day. I don't interface with anybody, but that's just the mood that I'm in. Or I may come in jeans one day. You know, it just depends. I'm very kind of all over the board.
So when you have clients come in, do they reference it, or is it just another kind of a really cool trivia thing on your resume, and that many people actually bring it up to you?
I think in this point in my life, not that many people. Um,
You do you? I'm sorry.
it's
Hold on.
people are more.
Hold on. You
Go
totally
ahead.
went. You totally went blank. So let me just put a little marker here, and you can start it from the top. Let me just put a marker here. Okay, go.
I think at this point in my life, people don't necessarily know. You know, some do. I run into people all the time that'll be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you were in pageants or this or that," or somebody will tell them. But it's not something that comes up every day for sure. Like it did more so when I was younger.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is because, um, Facebook, social media wasn't really a thing when you won. You weren't able to capitalize that like star aspect, but it sounds like you totally hit a home run when it comes to having a career. So I think if does is it would you feel better that you hit a home run with a business than having that star aspect, and that's okay with you?
Yes, 100% okay with me. I've always loved what I did. I've never had a huge interest in just being famous.
Okay.
And I know a lot of kids today, they want to be Instagram stars. They want to be this, they want to be that. You know, I wanted to be known for working in the style world or doing the work that I did in television. You know, that was much more my path, other than I didn't just want to be famous for being for being pretty. That was really not of interest to me. I have nothing, great for those who do and can make it happen if that's your goal. But I really wanted to kick some ass in the pageant, in the pageant world, and then go move into the fashion world. And now I work, primarily in fine jewelry, but still it all revolves around style. So it's all one and the same to me.
Oh yeah, jewelry is 100% style. So
Yeah.
I mean, you have if you don't coordinate that with your clothing, then you're gonna totally be a mishmash, and it's not gonna look good. You know.
Right. Right. So that's so I'll never not be involved in the style industry. Let's put it that way.
Do you feel because you have kids now that your kids will now have pressure to compete, and then if they do you think they'll have pressure to win?
I don't think that, I have a daughter, she's only a year and a half old. I don't think she'll have the pressure because I will not put that on her. I actually don't, would not even let her compete as a child. It's my own personal thoughts. So if she wanted to do it as she got older, that would be another thing. But I don't have any plans of putting her in pageants or anything like that. But I think, yeah, she'll definitely know it. She'll know that I was Miss Teen USA, and I definitely hope that is not pressure on her, because I would never want her to feel that because that was something I did, that's something she has to do.
So legacy is not as important as just having a well-rounded child then. And then
Right. Yeah, no.
okay.
Um, that is no, I have no desire. I have no dreams of having a pageant legacy in my family. Uh, it's much more important to me that she does what she's passionate about, whatever that is.
Do you feel that because you won it in 1 year and you weren't really passionate beforehand, that um, you're a little disconnected from some other person that had competed so many times and then eventually won? And
I don't feel disconnected. I feel like, I worked, and I know that's not what you're saying. I worked just as
no,
hard,
I'm
and
not trying to
I and
insult you in any
I
way.
exactly. I know that's not, yeah, but I feel like I didn't grow up thinking, God, I want to be in pageants. I want to be in pageants. I want to be in pageants. So for me, it was a stepping stone. It wasn't like this end all goal. It wasn't like, this is all I want to do, which, and a lot of girls use it as a stepping stone. And it's a great stepping stone to doing just about anything in life. But yeah, I think it's a little bit different. I didn't have that dream as a child, so I don't see my child having that dream. I could be totally wrong. I mean, she surprises me on a daily basis, so she could come up with something, that I have no idea about.
Well, you said she's 1, right? So let's
she's
give her
only 1.5.
Let's give her 16 years before we put any pressure on her, right? I'm one of those pro, let's give women as many opportunities, because let's be honest, we don't give women as many opportunities as we do for men. And this is a great stepping stone. And I hope that none of my listeners get insulted by that. But this is a perfect example. You are a perfect example of you totally doubled down and took full advantage of all the opportunities given to you. That's how I see it, and that's the way you expressed it to me.
Yes, no, it is true. It was unexpected and amazing. So
I just wanted to take 1 second from this great interview and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you're planning a wedding, a special event, or you just need an amazing headshot, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443-422-3830. Again, that's 443-422-3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to the show and listen to this great interview. So for our listeners out there, and they're in that perfect teen, I would say, Goldilocks time frame, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you'd recommend? Because, the game has really changed with the social media aspect. You recommended that they should definitely take be in speech classes or do debate classes. You recommended... Mm-hmm. Do you think they should take modeling classes? Is there something else that's really good? Or, I think
whatever they need to do to feel comfortable within their own skin and feel comfortable in front of a camera and comfortable in front of people, whether for them that's, modeling classes or they're involved in, yoga is a great way to feel comfortable within your own body. If they love to work out, that they're, working out with friends and that helps them, or they're playing sports, or modeling is a great way. It is a great segue, but I don't think it's the only one. It's what worked for me.
Yeah, I understand. Is there something unique about the teen environment where a lot of candidates come out of nowhere? They never do a pageant and then they win the state title, or they'll win a local right away. Is that just because the genuine life that you have at that young age? How do you how do you qualify that and describe that?
I think it's a couple things. I think, yes, it's the genuine light that you have and the just authenticness that we sadly a lot of us or a lot of people lose as they grow older. I also think that you're on a more even playing field. You're much more likely to have a lot of first timers in a teen pageant than you are in a Miss pageant. So it's a more even playing field if you are doing it for the first time. I also think that in general that I don't want to say less is expected of a teen, but if a teen trips on stage, which girls have fallen down completely and still won Miss Universe. So this is not a make it or break it kind of move. But if a teen, kind of trips up on stage, it's considered cute. Oh, she was nervous. She's 15. That's so great. She recovered. We're so proud of her. If it happens at the age of 22, it's just looked at a little bit differently. So I think teens get a little bit more leeway when they're competing, from judges, from the public, from everybody. And I think that, it is a more even playing field for first timers when you're a teen.
Is that something that a teen could take advantage of? Like, get that perception of being naive and like, ooh, I'm so cute and like, I'm so innocent, but
I
like,
don't I
no?
don't think so, because I think it's when it's not genuine.
Okay.
And I mean, sometimes even when it is genuine, it comes off as airhead, it comes off as ditzy. I mean, we've seen you know, the girls answer questions, and they try to play it off as like, oh, I'm just, I'm this like innocent little teen. But when it's inauthentic, it just comes off as ditzy, in my opinion. And I think it's very obvious.
Well, I mean, as a former judge and as a photographer, I absolutely agree with you. Um,
Yeah.
is that the perception that you would get from other judges, and is that something that someone who's competing should pay attention to?
Oh, for sure. I mean, judges, what a lot of girls don't understand is it's very easy, and especially in the USA system. I mean, the directors in the USA system, they get very highly qualified judges. They've been doing this for a long time. And it is very easy for a judge to spot a girl who's inauthentic. And I think that the girls don't always know that, but going into it, and they think they need to be what they think the judges want to see. But in every pageant I've ever judged, when the judges are having conversations, it's like, oh yeah, you can tell she's putting on a show for the ones that are. It's very obvious.
Well, I mean, I think that's some great insight. I guess my follow up question would be: Do you have such a strong connection with the USA brand, and would you recommend for girls to specifically do USA, or do you think that whatever system works for them and they should just do what works for them?
I mean, yes, I have a very strong attachment. I was a title holder for the Miss Universe organization. I was a director of 3 states for the Miss Universe organization. I've judged for them. My husband and I are now the fine jewelry sponsors for the Miss Arizona pageant for the USA system. I've been involved in literally every angle you can be within the Miss Universe organization. I've played every single role. So I have an affinity and a partiality to that. But I definitely think that any system that works for you, that you feel comfortable in, is a great system. I don't have talent. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't play an instrument. So the Miss America system wasn't even an option for me. If that's something you are more interested in, or you really just want scholarship money, then go for that. I think it's depending on what your interests are, what the program is like in your area and your state, and what works for you. I'm a very big fan of doing what works for you in all aspects of your life.
So basically, it's really it should be based on your quality. If your skills are not as well rounded and you're not eclectic when it comes to playing a sport or an instrument, maybe USA would be better, or a competition where there's not a talent involved.
Oh yes, I mean, I wasn't going to just try to invent a talent and compete with it. That wasn't even an option for me. So for me, the USA system was, not only was it the only one I really knew about, but it was the only one that was really an option for me, especially at that age. Now, if you are younger competing, as a 10-year-old or an early teen, there is a lot of systems out there that, that people get involved in that kind of feed into the USA system. Those girls, it's kind of an unofficial prep for them. But like I said, I've never been involved with those systems, things like that. So I don't know a lot about it.
What is a year as the national teen title holder like? Your
It is a
counterparts
lot
here
of
in New York.
fun.
Okay. Oh, I want to. So I know that the New York, your counterparts live in New York, but you're still a teen, so you're still living at home, right? So how does that
Yeah,
work?
in 1995, when I was Miss Teen USA, the Miss Universe organization was still based in Los Angeles. So the girls lived in LA. I was not given the opportunity, I was not given the option to live there. I was 18 and had graduated high school. So I would have moved to LA at that point. Today, the teen girls, well, I can't speak about exactly today, but up until recently, I believe the teen girls were given the option. If they were of age, they could move to New York,
Oh,
and
well,
all three
that's a
girls, yeah, all
well,
three
that's a
girls
cool
shared an
improvement.
apartment.
Well, that's a cool
Yeah.
improvement because I would assume that they would be required to stay with their parent. But I guess that does make sense that if you're of age, that you should be given all the opportunities that the other
And
girls
I've
are.
known many teens that go to New York and they enjoy it. And they have a great, it's a great experience for them. I would have loved that opportunity. I didn't have it. So,
But
I think
did they
it,
like fly you around to do public appearances, or were you basically state?
yes.
Oh, okay. So you were
Yeah, no, I
basically.
flew all over the country. It was when I was involved. It was before the Mr. Trump owned the organization. It was before it was owned by, who the current owners. I
Mhm.
was several owners ago. We had personal drivers everywhere. They flew me first class. I had a great expense account for makeups and facials and clothing and shoes and anything I needed. Um, it was a it was a phenomenal experience. They, treated me like a true queen. Everything was very high standards, very first class. I did have when I would travel solo because I would fly from Kansas. But then when I would arrive at a destination, I had a travel manager that coordinated everything and took care of everything for me when I was there. But I stayed in beautiful hotel suites, and it was wonderful. I got to speak to amazing people and groups of teenagers and groups of adults, and I just you get to do things that you would never in a regular life get to do, and so it was really, like I say, life changing.
So I guess for in comparison, it's basically what a state title holder does, but you're doing it on a global level, and you're able to meet
Exactly.
a higher level of celebrity or influencers or donators. Or
Yes.
do you? I mean, I guess in that process, you also met this gentleman who helped you and was willing to let you design several dresses, what you had mentioned. So, is that is
Yes.
that in that relationship where you met this person?
Yeah, so I can tell you the story.
Oh, yeah, I'd love it, please.
I actually wore a Stephen Urich gown. He's done a lot of he did work with a lot of celebrities in the 70s and 80s and pageant girls. He did a lot of gowns for Vanessa Williams. He was known for all this beautiful beading. And so I met him. I had worn a Stephen Urich gown when I won Miss Teen USA. The white dress was designed by him, but I didn't know him. I was sitting in Las Vegas when Chelsea Smith was giving up her title as Miss Universe. She was a very dear friend of mine. Um, and I said, "Who did your gown?" And she said, "Stephen Urich." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm such a huge fan." I wore a gown of his when I won Miss Teen USA, and she offered to introduce me. And he did my entire wardrobe when I was giving up my title. He did dresses for my mom and for my sister.
Oh wow,
And then
that's
he
really
knew that
going
I was
way.
in,
That's way.
yeah,
I mean,
he's
if you're
amazing.
going third, if you're going way third down the line, that's a pretty
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool. I mean, he must have really felt that you guys were good friends then, because that's something you
we
don't.
were. And he knew that I was interested in fashion and that I was getting a degree in design. And so he offered to be my mentor. And then we ended up working together. He would have his factories make a lot of designs for my clients when I went on to design. And Stephen even um, did two. I mean, this is my third marriage, and he did my first two wedding dresses for me as well.
Is it? Were you getting like like you did my first two dresses and didn't work out. Let's change it up. So you know, like bad luck. Were you like superstitious, or you just hadn't had the opportunity?
Oh gosh, no, I was to be honest, my third marriage, I was 5 months pregnant with my daughter when we decided to get married. So it was not possible for me to be, taking my measurements and him sending me a dress by mail. I needed something done locally so that I could I could fit into it.
Well, this gives your husband an opportunity to surprise you with a 5 year or a 10 year,
There you go. I
big
like that.
wedding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the industry, so I'm sure you would appreciate that. So,
Yes, I would. You're right.
well, I mean, it sounds like this is it's like totally evolves you, but like, I wasn't even aware that you were a director. I apologize for not doing more research, but what was that experience? Were you pulled in as a director because you had won and they
No,
wanted?
I was they at that time they didn't really have ex title holders as pageant directors. So um I was the first one, the first national title holder to ever become a director within the Miss Universe organization. And a friend of mine, he and I formed a production company in Los Angeles. And when the state California came up, that it was people could purchase it because you purchase them, they're a licensing fee. We kind of threw our hat in the ring, and there was well over 100 people who applied for it, and we were granted the license. And so we ran the state of California. We eventually also took on New York and New Hampshire, but then I got and then I got out of it and really wanted to go back to fashion. So that's kind of what I did after several years. But it was great. It was a great experience. It was fun being on the other side. I think we brought a lot of change to the pageant. I think we brought a lot of glamour to the pageant. Doing it as an ex-contestant, it was just a totally different outlook on. It was important to me that the girls felt supported. They got good opportunities. We had good sponsorships. I think we looked at it a little bit differently because of my experience, and it was great. It was a great experience.
Talk about hitting a home run. You were at one time you had New York and California. I can't think of
Yeah,
the two other states to really have on your list. I mean, were you just
yeah, it was
like,
pretty great.
yeah,
It was great.
and um, I guess, I mean, because it's I you you said it wasn't. I would have thought it was a franchise. So, um, but I guess, are you the last director before the Chrisleys that took over for California, or there was a middle?
No, no, there was Pam and Alex, a couple of women that we worked with a lot. They helped us a lot. They were directors after us,
Gotcha,
and after me. So yeah, and it is a franchise, but you have to apply to get the franchise license. So that's kind of what the
gotcha.
process was.
I mean, I would love to have the Maryland state, but I know that state is probably never going to come up for a long time. But um,
I mean, I don't have any idea.
oh yeah, no. I'm not in no way am I asking for inside information. Um, but it just sounds like such a cool it if if to operate any pageant personally, like I started the whole conversation, to be a part of the USA, because I believe the USA system I hold it at such a high regard, is such an important thing. So, did you feel that responsibility as the director, that we got to hold these at a certain level?
What? Say that again. I'm sorry.
Well, so when you were the director for both New York and California, did you
Uh
feel
huh.
pressure to hold them at a certain high level, and have you were saying that you really upped the
Oh
game? Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I felt there was a lot of pressure on us because of me being an ex title holder and being kind of the new kids on the block at that time. But things like that don't bother me. Extra pressure doesn't bother me, so I was fine with it. But it was, and I felt like I held the girls to a higher standard as well because I had been in their shoes and I knew what it took, but it I knew it could be done, and so you know I didn't I didn't want excuses. We wanted to have great title holders, and we did put that pressure on them.
are you? in that mindset that you want to be in the pressure cooker. You want someone to have the spotlight. You want to have the best. If you're going to be a director, you want your system to be the best system. You want everyone to emulate your system as a local
Well, I
system.
don't believe in doing anything unless you want to do it the best. I mean, that's
Okay.
just how I operate as a person. So, I mean, when I was a stylist, I wanted to be the best stylist. When I was, or at least the best in my eyes, or the best, doing the best at my job every day. So, I feel that that is how I operate as a person. So that was definitely how I was operating as a director.
I just wanted to take one extra second and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you're planning a wedding and you need a wedding videographer, you're doing a music video, or you're doing a commercial, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443 422 3830. Again, that's 443 422 3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to this great interview. Well, you already kind of like popped the lead and talked about it. So you're currently a sponsor with your a jewelry company with Arizona, which is so exciting. So now, what type of jewelry are you focusing on? Is this for more adults, or is it really great for pageants, or is it kind of eclectic grouping of a mishmash of if some
It's
young adults and some more seasoned veteran?
Well, I haven't done, I mean, currently like I said, I work in the jewelry industry and we focus, my husband is a third generation, jeweler and has been in the
Ooh,
fine, yeah, has been in the fine jewelry industry his whole life. His father is in it. He's a stone importer. His mother is a jewelry
oh,
designer.
cool.
His grandfather was a lapidary artist. So there's a lot of history there. And we actually met because I had clients that wanted to have jewelry made by a company that he was running at the time. Um, and coming from the fashion world and coming into the fine jewelry world is a pretty easy transition. I was working with fine jewelry a lot in my world anyways at that time when he and I met, and had gone to the Gemological Institute and gotten some education on it. And so I wanted to make that transition anyways. But the jewelry part, we do it for everybody. I mean, like I said, we're sponsors of the Miss Arizona USA pageant and Miss Arizona Teen USA pageant.
Which is
But we
so cool,
also,
so great.
yeah, well, the director is a friend of mine, and so it's been a really fun project. And we do things for everybody. So we do things from engagement rings to, and we do work with diamonds to any of the rarest gemstones, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, of course, but we do a lot with just about anything. My husband has, like I said, been in it for so long. He has just the best connections, and we work with very high quality things. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be expensive, but we work with all budgets and we work on a custom basis. So we don't have a jewelry store. We are going to be selling limited pieces online in the near future, but we don't have a typical jewelry company in that state of mind. We meet with clients one on one, and we do custom pieces for people. We create them from scratch 90% of the time.
I mean, if my listeners don't already know this, the people that are really good, like designers or in that industry, they don't usually have stores. They usually do make home.
Yeah.
So it just shows how well skilled your husband's whole family is, and it sounds like you're definitely in the right mix of people because um, usually those type of people are very really well known as well as just being skilled at what they do. So I mean, that is just as much as being a painter or someone who's a singer because it's something that it takes years, if not a lifetime, to learn. So I mean,
Yeah, and my mother-in-law is a brilliant designer and award winner. My husband is an award-winning designer for jewelry, and it just makes, he can. We just have. It's just so much fun. I have to say, I love coming to work every day. I get to play with diamonds, and and create beautiful things for people. So it's always a positive experience, that's for sure.
Well, it also must not be so like a marginalist, like you're just doing like you're cookie cutting, because if you're doing custom pieces or doing unique things, it's not the same thing. You're not just making the
Right.
same widget over and over and over. So,
Hmm. And
so
I love not, that's one of the reasons I've always loved working for myself is that I, I don't like doing the same thing every day. So my every day is different, which I love.
are you are you guys specifically just focused on the Arizona market, or
And
how
we have
would that
clients
work?
all over the globe.
Okay.
We work. I actually was talking with a client today that we're doing a custom piece for. She actually lives in Kansas,
Go
and
Kansas.
we even have a 3D printer. So we have printed out what her ring will look like that we're creating for her,
Oh,
and we
that's so
send it to
cool.
her so she can try it on. She can see exactly what it's going to look like. We do 3D drawings, CAD presentations, so we work all over, and it's great because when COVID came, we were already well versed in that area and knew how to do it. And so, excuse me, so it was easy for us to kind of make that pivot and transition.
Well, yeah, it sounds like your business model was specifically tailored for this type of industry where you could be modular. I mean, the it sounds like
Yeah.
what really um made your business even more better is this a to pre-cast this on design. That's something that's really, I mean this is the reason why you go to a high-end jewelry designer, because you literally get to see it before it's made. I mean, there's no reason spending couple $1,000 and then you don't like the way it looks in real person. That's a phenomenal value. That's
Yeah,
great.
it is. It is. And clients are always super surprised. It's one of those things that's great. It's not a super expensive feature. It's not something that you have to pay a lot of money for. And it ensures that when they receive their final piece of jewelry, it's something they'll love.
I mean, that's I mean, I remember when I graduated high school, it would have been awesome to actually see what the actual class ring would be like, and actually,
Hmm.
and then when you get in just a so that's an incredible value. I mean, that's awesome. Well, is there any like how do they? Of course, your information is going to be below. Um,
Okay.
is there any other way that you'd like them to reach out if they would like to buy some jewelry, or are you doing
Well, they
pageant coaching,
can.
or are you just focusing on jewelry and styling, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty much just jewelry and fashion right now. I haven't done pageant coaching in years. But you can always find me on Instagram, and that's Keely Sanders Style, and is my handle. And that'll be in the information as well. So yeah,
Yes.
they can always reach out there. That's the love of social media.
Well, Keely, I really appreciate you being on the show, and I hope you really enjoyed um, your time with us, and I really do appreciate it. It's so fascinating to learn all about what you currently do, and you're just your whirlwind win, and it's always fascinating to hear the teens win. So it's also really just incredible how you really used all of the key assets to your advantage and has really made your life so
Hmm.
phenomenal. So, I mean, I hope my listeners realize this is why I brought you on, because this pageant really helped you excel in life.
Yes, it did. It did. And to me, it is so worth the like I said, it changed my life. So I'm definitely a
Well,
big fan of pageants.
thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Keely, thank you so much for coming on the show. I 100% am extremely thankful for the opportunity, and I feel so motivated and inspired by our interview, and I hope my listeners feel the same way. It just shows that if you take advantage of everything that's given to you in life and you are positive, good things can happen your way. And um, I hope my listeners continue seeing that pageantry and acting and modeling are all positive aspects that women should be involved in, and we should continue to work hard and promote positive women in these industries. And I am so thankful to have you on my show and have you as a beacon towards this movement. As always, I want to point out to my lovely listeners that we have 2 shows. We have this podcast called the Total Focus Podcast, and I also have my movie breakdown show called The Movie Breakdown with my co-host Yvonne Carlos, where we talk about movies and we just have generally a great time. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this interview, and I hope you please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and as always, please stay tuned.